Hey, what's up guys, just Boost here and welcome back to another Digimon gameplay video. Today I have a match from locals between myself on the left piloting D-Brigade against Stefan on the right, who's actually piloting Examon. So pretty cool matchup, not something I've shown off the channel yet. Two of the decks I've been playing this format, so pretty fun, pretty familiar with all the interactions and stuff. Hard to say honestly which deck has the advantage in this matchup. Examon can be very slow and D-Brigade can be very fast, so I guess there is definitely games where D-Brigade just simply outspeeds Examon and wins in that way. However, if Examon manages to establish, well, just a big daddy blocker Examon, then it definitely becomes very hard for D-Brigade to actually win the game unless you have access to something like Ultimate Flare. Or unless you can bait out enough blocks to actually get rid of it with Iron Fisted Onslaught. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So like I mentioned, D-Brigade going in pretty hard here. Getting as many early checks as possible, which is very important because that means that late game you just need to get basically 1 or 2 checks through to finish off the game, which is the games that you want to be in. However, Examon does have this in its favor, where it can put up a blocker early game relatively easily, by just playing down the green Quadramon, or Groundramon I guess, which makes it kind of hard for D-Brigade to get in those early checks, if they manage to establish it like you see here. So basically the best way to counter this, in my opinion, is just go as wide as possible, because they can only block 1 of your attacks, right? Which I think is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop the booster to go to 5, and then I'm actually going to get rid of it. That's fair enough, because if I don't get rid of the stack, he could just evolve up into Groundramon possibly, and then end of turn DNA Digivolve to Examon, which is definitely not something you want to see happen. So I played what's it called, Quake Fire Blast, or whatever it's called, which basically just deletes the 13 cost, which is nice. However, I do get Ice Wall Slayer Dramon comboed here, which basically just skips my turn. However, I do get to do the check, since his Slayer Dramon actually doesn't have blocker in the stack. So that's nice, which means I just will have to do 3 more checks to finish off the game. And now he could hard play Groundramon, right, and then evolve into Examon. However, he doesn't do that. Maybe he doesn't have the pieces, which means I will be able to do 2 checks for free this turn, and then finally we'll be able to, or I will have to force through 1 less check to finish off the game. He's going to force me to attack and actually hit into the Davis, which is very rough, because it means I won't be able to memory choke him after this point. He's just thinking here's going to add the Dracomon for sure, and then the Breakdramon as well. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be very rough, because this means that next turn he will be able to evolve into Groundramon and then evolve into Examon and keep turn, which is definitely not something you want to see happen against you when you're playing against this deck. But there's literally no way to play around it, so I'm just going to go into Hagurumon here. And yeah, you see I could have memory choked into 1 for sure with the Commandramon 2 cost there. He's going to swing over my blocker, and now he's going to evolve into the Groundramon and evolve into that Examon and keep turn, which is very, very powerful. Even though I still just need to do 1 more check, I'm not in a position where I'm super wide, and you do need, depending on what he gets out with the Examon, I do need at least 4 Digimon to push through the Examon, because he has potentially 2 blocks and 1 suspend of the Examon, and if he has a Breakdramon, I need even more. However, he goes into the Groundramon here, which is still a little bit rough, because it is another blocker, so it does force me to basically need another attack. And now, unless he hits into a security bomb, it's going to be very, very hard for me to get back into the game, honestly. So yeah, he establishes, basically I will need 5 Digimon from this point on to get that 1 check through, which is going to be nigh on impossible to do with just 3 memory. I suppose if I do have Darkdramon though, the old one, I will need less Digimon on field, because he won't be able to suspend it with the Examon, right? But yeah, a little bit unlucky here, forced me to attack, and then the Breakdramon is going to get rid of the Quake option in the security. Which definitely, you're going to see that if he didn't trash this from the security, but instead any of the other 2 cards, then I probably would have won the game. But as you're going to see now, I'm forced to put him on a lot of memory by playing down the Def X. If I didn't play down the Def X, he had 4 attacks anyway, so I would have lost. And now basically I put him on better heavy to finish off the game. Goes into the Slayerdramon here. But it's going to swing, which is definitely fair enough. Swing to security. This guy's going to be 15k, I think. Hits into Tankdra. And then I'm pretty sure of the draw from the Slayerdramon, he actually drew into his remaining, the Examon he needed. And this is just going to be game, because he can swing into my security, suspend my Def X, and suspend itself, and then just swing for game. Play out another Slayerdramon is going to swing. Yeah, like I said, and there's nothing's going to be in security. Well, if he didn't hit the option with the Break Dragon, instead hit it on the next turn, yeah, on his next turn, I could have just popped his Groundramon, and then I probably would have won the game. But yeah. I didn't get to be so lucky, so that's it is what it is. Going to force him to start because the Examon deck's pretty prone to bricking, so it's definitely, I think, in my opinion, smart to have him go first. I open up Commandramon Kazu. However, he doesn't brick, sadly. In fact, he just has the stack from level 3 to 5 right away. Once again, I'm going to go for those early checks. Also dig for some pieces with the Kazu. My commander doesn't survive the check, and Pagu also misses. But that's fine, because I do have another Pride Memory boost. So I'm going to be putting him to 1. And he actually hit into Haguru, which is definitely one of the best cards you can hit off this card. Because it helps you dig for more cards, right? And also set up your trash for potential Slayer... sorry, not Slayerdramon. Darkdramon pushes in the future. Going to Memory Choke him to 1, which is nice, because even if he does have Hammer Spark, he won't be able to go into something like Slayerdramon or Breakdramon and then hard play the other color level 5 to go into Examon here. He's actually going to build up his Slayerdramon in the back, which is definitely fair, because even though he does have the Evade Cordramon under the Slayerdramon, he does would still lose out to Ultimate Flare. So I'm just going to go into Darkdramon here, because it will allow me to draw into the piece I want, basically. From the Evolve, and will also help me to do some quick checks here. Yeah, going to swing with the Darkdra. Tap the Kazu to dig a little bit deeper, and also set up my trash once again for a new Darkdra. Actually pitching the Kazu there. Darkdra does survive the check, which is nice, but it's not that relevant, because his Slayerdramon can attack over my Darkdra and unsuspend next turn anyway. And then I'm just going to swing with that Guru, of course, into Madoki Beta, so sadly it does get deleted in battle, but yeah, was to be expected. And now I'm just going to... Basically, it doesn't really matter if I Memory Choke him, so potentially I could go for the Memory Boost and then play down the 3 draw, but there's no real point, because there's not any play he won't be able to do if I just put him to 3 Memory, because if he wants to hard evolve to Examon, he could do that anyway. And if he wants to hard play Groundramon to then evolve to Examon, he also could do that anyway, so he doesn't really gain anything from the 2 additional memory. However, if I do keep the Pride boost, it will potentially allow me to have enough memory for a Darkdra push in the future. So I definitely think that was the correct play. He does just hard evolve into the Examon, which is definitely fair enough, because again it gives him the additional suspension if I do promote my blocker commander, which I'm going to do here. Gain the memory, and he's going to force me to attack. Yeah, I'm going to attack with my commander, and then he's going to... I'm going to do the... Yeah, I opt not to do the Kazu, actually. And then he's going to unsuspend. Actually, he doesn't block it, which is smart, because if he does block it, he would lose out the Iron Fist. I think I didn't do the Kazu here, because I wanted to be guaranteed to hit the Commandra, which I do here. I think that was the last card I knew was there. That's a 5k Commandra. And now I'm doing a little bit of a think, because I think I do have the... Yeah, I do have the Sustra into Tankdra stack here, which is what I'm going to go through to play out the Rush, a Commander of Rush, basically. I do hit into Decoy Commandramon, which now has Rush, but I think I'm actually going to go white instead of swinging for the less security check, because this sets me up for more checks on the next turn. And if I do swing, he could out my entire... Well, he couldn't out my entire field, but Yeah, I want to go as wide as possible, because if he does... Yeah, now I remember. If he does want to out my entire field, like, basically he just can't do it because he can just swing twice. Or so I thought. We're going to see some spies coming in. He's going to attack over my tank. And here I'm like, okay, cool. So now I have 2 attacks against his no blocks. But then he's going to go into Avalanche Gate. And all of a sudden he can just swing over my other guy. And admittedly, he does lose to Grumblemon or Darkramon here, which you're going to see. Maybe it would have been better to just keep the Examon unsuspended, to be honest. Because now he does, yeah, like I said, he does set himself up to lose against... Does it matter? Yeah, I think it does. I think it would have been better to keep it unsuspended, to be honest. Because that way he wouldn't have lost, actually, against either Darkra or Grumble, because he could have stunned both my Commandramon. Like, he could have blocked one and then suspended the other while blocking. So I'm going to swing her, which she's obviously going to allow. However, as you're going to see, very, very unlucky. I'm just thinking, well, I'm going to discard of the Kazu. It shouldn't really matter that much. However, I do hit into a Hammer Spark, which put me to 2, which means I will not be able to Darkramon for game. And this is basically where I just lose the game on the spot. Which is definitely unfortunate, but it's something you have to keep in mind while you're playing against decks like this. And really rough, I have to play this... the option card to out his Dracomon, because if I didn't, he would be able to attack for game for sure next turn. And just imagine if this was the Iron Fist, right? It could have outed the Examon, and I probably would have won the game anyway. But it isn't. Honestly, I tested this card at this local, and it was kind of underwhelming. And there were like 2 games where I actually would have won if I had the Iron Fist, but I lost because I had the Quake Fire Fist Fodder, or whatever it's called. So even though in theory it is kind of nice, 1 less memory and shouldn't come up that much, it actually came up a couple of times, so... Yeah, I probably will be going back to just playing 3 Iron Fists instead of the ratio I'm playing right now. And yeah, I could go on and commentate, but there's really not much to say. He has like 4 blocks, or not blocks necessarily, but like he can stop 4 attacks with the field he has. And I'm just never going to be able to do the last... 2 damage, going to trash 2 of my less security with the Breakdramon block, because he has the Breakdramon inheritable as well, the Breakdramon on field. And then next turn I'm just going to lose, right? Even if I play out like 3 blockers, it doesn't matter. Which I'm obviously not able to do. And yeah, that's just going to be the game, so got absolutely bodied by Examon there, even though I did get kind of unlucky, I think, in the second game. But it is what it is, and yeah, very GG.